to many
The
people.
answer is yes, the baby would be delivered.
Oh, okay, great. So that's insane. I hope your daughter lives a very happy life and gets away from you.
You are using...
So are you saying none of them use any of the information?
Can I say 3 words without you interrupting me?
So you can be presented with a graph after this by the people that you brought with you.
Just like constantly going to condescending type talk is not going to be fruitful. What's her greatest accomplishment as vice president?
Being the first female all-black president. We've never had that.
No. Like I got that, but like, what's her accomplishment that made people's lives better?
I don't know.
Welcome back to Rattlesnake TV, guys. In this video, we are going to be watching Charlie Kirk debating a bunch of college progressives that are completely insufferable. I have been seeing these clips going viral recently on Twitter and on YouTube of people saying that Charlie Kirk got destroyed by these college libs.
Imagine debating college kids and losing as Charlie Kirk.
Which once again proves my point, which I mentioned on my Twitter this week, that the internet is absolutely horrendous at interpreting debates. And if you guys aren't following me on Twitter, about to hit 10,000 followers, so jump over there. Jake RattlesnakeTV should be just there somewhere. But anyways, I'm going to be debunking these claims about Charlie getting destroyed by going through these clips and breaking them down play by play. And one such clip that went viral was the following, where Charlie Kirk debates this young lady about abortion.
Okay, what's your name?
Naima.
Nice to meet you.
Okay, can I just ask, at how many weeks do you think that a fetus is viable?
Well, viability and moral worth are 2 different things.
No, but I'm asking you, at how many weeks do you think a fetus is viable?
Well, at about 20 weeks, a baby can survive outside of utero.
So it's actually 24 to 26
weeks?
Well,
it's 20. The youngest ever in a NICU unit actually happened in San Diego, not far from here, and survived at 20 weeks.
Okay, so under Roe v. Wade, 93% of abortions happened in the first 13 weeks of pregnancy. That's 93% of the abortions happened well before a fetus is technically viable as a form of life.
So let's go into viability. So what is it about, let's say, a 6-week baby that has a heartbeat, its own DNA, fingerprint, brain waves, that is less moral worth than an 88-year-old right now with dementia in a home down the street? That person requires assistance, requires help. Why is it that the 6-week baby is of less moral worth?
Well, first of all, it's not a baby, it's a fetus.
Well, what does fetus mean?
A fetus is in utero.
What does fetus mean in Latin?
What the f***? I'm sorry, is this
it means little human being.
Ooh, his smile is very creepy. Okay.
Smiling is creepy?
No, your smile specifically.
Got it.
But let's go back to, we're losing track here.
No, but what species is the fetus?
The fetus is not a species yet. It's technically classified as a parasite until it is viable.
So,
now, I want to talk to you about something very quickly.
I can't let you get past that. Are you saying a baby is a disease or a tumor?
A parasite is not a disease and a tumor. Those are not the same thing. A parasite is defined as something that cannot survive outside of its host. A baby, before it is viable, cannot survive outside of a woman's womb.
Got it. So let's extrapolate that.
It is not a living organism.
Are old people with Alzheimer's and dementia that are being assisted every day, are they parasites?
No, they're not parasites. They're human beings who are on the brink of death.
Got it. So they're
not going to be able to survive.
My 4-month-old that requires mom's breast milk and requires daily changes and feedings cannot survive without its own. Is my 4-month-old a parasite?
Your baby can breathe on its own. Your baby can drink water from its mouth to its stomach.
But it cannot.
Your baby can
it
eat
hunt?
food.
Can it gather? Can it reason?
But that's not what qualifies something as being a living organism. Being a living organism simply means, can you survive outside of a womb, outside of your host?
Got it. So I just want to make sure I'm clear. Why does that then equate to moral viability?
It equates to scientific viability.
Why? Under what standard?
Because it is not alive, and you are advocating for the rights of something that is not technically a life.
Got it. So what is something
while
that has
sacrificing the needs of the human woman who is alive.
Got it. So, but a mom can survive.
Yes.
Without the baby in her. Right?
Yes.
The baby cannot survive without the mom.
Yes.
But a mom cannot survive without her lungs. So it's not her body, it's in her body. It's not her DNA, so it's not her choice. So it
actually is directly her DNA. It is 100%. It's 50% of her DNA.
Half her DNA.
So just a bad faith, annoying and insufferable performance by this girl. She committed so many errors, which is why it is so frustrating to see the internet interpret this the way they did. She refers to a baby as a parasite. A parasite is obviously something with a deeply, deeply negative connotation, where something will enter the host's body and will use its nutrients and its resources to grow and to multiply and harm the host. A baby is a human life because life begins at conception. And what kind of life is it? It's a human life, meaning that it's not a parasite, and it is a life that was created by the host and grows within the host in a way that is completely in accordance with nature. But this is what people do when they want to justify murder. They will just dehumanize their victim. Serial killers do this. Tyrants who commit genocide do this, because we all know that murder is inherently wrong in any form. So in order to morally justify taking a human life, you have to somehow try and convince yourself that it's not human. Very, very dark stuff. And she also goes for the personal attacks, calling his smile ugly and creepy when he brought up a point that she couldn't respond to. And this is exactly what people do when they're losing a debate.
His smile is very creepy.
Just a scummy tactic to try and publicly humiliate him and try and get laughs off the other people in the room. And look, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that Charlie Kirk's smile is his best feature. I mean, he smiles predominantly with his mouth and his eyebrows and kind of looks like a 10-year-old kid sticking his head out of a car window. But gentlemen, let's be honest with ourselves. None of us are out here looking like Johnny Depp from Cry Baby or James Dean in Rebel Without a Cause, and that's why I use Tej Hanley. Gentlemen, as we steadily march towards our peak years, it's important to be having a good skincare routine. If it can polish a turd like me, it can work for you. Now, I recommend that you start with the level 1 system. It comes with all the basics, like the daily face wash to get all of that dirt and grime out of your skin. Then you've got your scrub. You do this one 2 times a week to get rid of all those dead skin cells. We've also got our AM moisturizer, which, you guessed it, is for the morning, and it comes with SPF 20 to keep you armed and dangerous against that sun. And what do you know? Your PM moisturizer keeps your skin healthy and hydrated throughout the night. And what I really love about Tej Hanley is that because I don't have any idea what I'm doing with skincare and I don't have a girlfriend, it comes with a how-to manual. It tells you when to use each product, how much to use, and in what order. It is a godsend. Their products have made my skin look and feel better than ever. But you don't have to just take my word for it. They have over 7,000 5-star reviews on their website from satisfied customers around the world. And this is not something you want to put off because prevention is key. Get ahead of any signs of aging now and your future self will thank you. And because Tej Hanley is sponsoring the video, they are offering Rattlesnake TV listeners an amazing deal. Just click the first link in the description and get a whopping 40% off your first skincare system and a free gift. Plus, as a member, you'll also get 20% off for life. And by the way, both gifts that you're choosing from are a $20 value and are both absolute game changers. A silicone body scrubber and also a face and nail grooming kit. My favorite is the kit because you get a little leather pouch with it, and also this is the best nail clipper you will ever use. Proper steel. These things won't break on you. So gentlemen looking to start your skincare journey, or ladies looking to get a great gift for a lovely gentleman, hit that link in the bio and start your skincare journey with Tej Hanley. On to the next bit now, where Charlie Kirk debates a very smug TikToker.
Hi, Parker. Nice to meet you. Yes.
Nice to meet you, Charlie.
Big TikTok guy here.
So, like, pedophiles, people who were married to children in the past and normalized in that society, should they go to prison?
Should pedophiles?
Like, if you could go back in time, would you put those pedophiles in prison that married those children because it was normalized? They were deceived into thinking it's okay. Would you put them in prison?
You got to slow down.
Sorry.
Pedophiles should get the death penalty.
No, so you'd go back in the past, you'd give them the death penalty, even though they were deceived into thinking it was okay. But you said people who get abortions who are women shouldn't go to prison.
But it's not currently illegal.
Okay, regardless.
Pedophilia
at that time, it wasn't.
No, I would not go back and retroactively enforce laws where things were currently not illegal.
You wouldn't put pedophiles in prison in the past.
Hold on a second. When was it illegal? When was it legal in America?
Well, child marriage was legal in America throughout the early 1900s and especially throughout most of society for thousands of years, especially in the Old Testament and in the Bible.
Hold on a second. So where is the Levitical law that allows you to marry a child?
Oh, yeah.
Can you name the verse?
Well, I can't name the verse, but the particular conditions that are listed in the Bible are that you have to be physical maturity and emotional maturity, which is extremely vague and throughout society has been seen to be met at puberty.
There is not a verse, but let's kind of go back.
Okay, so when is the age of consent under your view?
Let's go back to, generally agreed upon it's 18 years old. But let me ask you
because you don't go based on what's generally agreed, you go based on the Bible.
I say 18 years old, but let me ask you a question.
Where's that in the Bible?
When does life begin?
Conception.
Like conception, great. So good. So should we protect all life at conception?
I care about sentient life, not cellular life.
So when do brainwaves start?
Do you think brain dead people should be able to pull the plug on, like a family should be able to pull the plug on an individual in the family that's brain dead?
You got to answer the question. When do brainwaves start?
You can see brainwaves around 6 to 8 weeks, which in brain dead individual there are brainwaves as well. So the brainwaves necessary to produce a subjective experience are met until around 18 through 26 weeks in the womb.
Can you see it from my perspective? that at 6 to 8 weeks, those brain waves will actually increase, not decrease, if allowed the process of development to continue.
Did you know those same EEG scans exist in brain dead people that you don't think are sentient?
No, but the difference with the brain dead people is that the likelihood of those brain waves actually increasing is very low at 6 to 8 weeks, when by 15 weeks they can hear the mom's
impossible.
voice.
It's irreversible sensation. That's what brain death is.
Hold on,
didn't know that.
But no,
it's not coma.
But you're doing a red herring. Go back to
no, it's not. What's a red herring?
A red herring is where you avoid the topic and you say something that is adjacent or symmetrical to what I'm saying, but not actually I'm saying.
You mean a reductio ad absurdum? That's not a red herring.
A 6 to 8 week baby, if they're allowed to continue to develop, what ends up happening?
Quick interruption, guys. If you enjoy these sorts of videos where we break down the debates and go into tactics, etc., let me know below in the comments. I'd love to know. And also, if you haven't liked the video, chuck a thumbs up on it. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Let's get back into it.
At a certain point, it will become a sentient being in the future. The same way that if I keep engaging in sex with my girlfriend, there'll be a baby in the future. Yet I don't care about the
unless
sperm.
you're infertile, which we don't know. But let's see the process of development, right? Why
do you want to answer my question yet?
Why do you have the ability or the right?
Should those child P3Os go to prison?
The process of
should the pedophiles go to prison?
From 1904. How many pedophiles are alive from 1904?
They're not alive, right? I meant like if you can go back in the past, hypothetically speaking, and you could put them in prison. Would you put them in prison?
I would have killed them myself if I was alive. Back
okay, so then you don't apply it based upon what people are deceived to believe. You apply it based upon what you consider to be moral. So the women who had abortions, you think they should go to prison. So why should women who get abortions go to prison? But someone like my mom who told me that Santa Claus exists shouldn't go to prison because they're both sent.
This is not going to be a constructive debate if you keep on talking over me.
Well, I was finishing my statement and you were talking over me. But go for it.
Let me ask you a very simple question. Do you think it would be a good thing if we had less abortions in America?
It depends on the context. Like, are the abortions prior to sentience?
Yes,
because I think
all abortions.
No, it would not be necessarily better unless it is the case that the
abortion?
people didn't want the abortions and it would be negatively impactful to their health, medically speaking.
Are you against late-term abortion?
After sentience, yes.
Okay, so you believe in an 8-week abortion ban?
Yeah. No, I don't. Sorry, I believe in an abortion ban after 18 through 26 weeks.
Okay, that's a more reasonable position. I have to give you credit for that.
It's similar to Trump's. 15 weeks?
Yeah, so why do you think that most people don't share your view on that?
Well, people just don't really know what sentience is. There's not a lot of conversation about abortion. And these conversations are very difficult. Like, they're conceptually hard to go through. And I understand why a lot of people don't understand their positions on it. But I think people
are where most
You're cutting me off.
I
thought we weren't cutting people off.
I was actually complimenting you.
So this guy seems like a smart kid, but his debating style is very much just Destiny-like TikTok spurging and not conducive to a good conversation or debate in any way. Because here's what he does. He speaks really fast to try and make it sound like he knows what he's talking about and try and confuse his opponent.
Like my mom who told me that Santa Claus exists shouldn't go to prison because they're both sent.
He asks really jarring questions, which can be a good thing, but as long as it's relevant to the conversation and as long as you let the person answer, you give them the time and space to answer, then you take the conversation to its logical conclusion.
Should pedophiles
like if you could go back in time, would you put those pedophiles in prison that married those children because it was normalized? They were deceived into thinking it's okay. Would you put them in prison?
You got to slow down.
Sorry.
Pedophiles should get the death penalty.
If you just do it to try and make somebody look confused for a second and then interrupt them again, then it's just a bad faith tactic. I mean, it's a great way to make people look silly, but it's a terrible way to try and have a productive debate. Throughout this video, he consistently throws out red herrings, which Charlie was right to call him out on. And Charlie's definition was avoiding the topic by saying something that is adjacent to the topic. That is precisely what a red herring is. But this kid, once again, desperate to try and embarrass Charlie, wrongly claimed that Charlie didn't correctly define red herring. And he tries to sound really smart by saying, no, it's reductio ad absurdum. And then the girls in the room are falling over with laughter. They can't believe how much of a destruction they're witnessing, when in reality, they just have no idea what they're talking about. They have no idea what they're hearing and probably don't even know where they are right now.
You mean a reductio ad absurdum? That's not a red herring.
A 6 to 8 week baby, if they're allowed to continue to develop.
All they know is that they hate Charlie Kirk because he's a big mean conservative. But this kid is just wrong about that. Reductio ad absurdum is an argumentation style, which just means to reduce to absurdity. All it means is to take somebody's claim and then follow it to its logical conclusion, where the logical conclusion of the claim will be absurd, or it will be morally reprehensible, or there will be an internal contradiction within the claim. For example, if an atheist makes the argument that it's impossible to know objective truth, then you can take that to its logical conclusion by saying, according to your worldview, according to your logic, you can't make truth claims. So how can you say that there's no such thing as objective truth? But that's not what Charlie described. Charlie described a red herring.
A red herring is where you avoid the topic and you say something that is adjacent or symmetrical to what I'm saying, but not actually what I'm saying.
But even if he did think that he's not committing fallacies and what he's doing is implementing a certain style of argumentation, in order to use this style of argumentation, reductio ad absurdum, you need to be able to actually flesh out the other person's worldview. You need to be able to listen to them. You need to get a very clear understanding of what exactly they mean and then ask questions and lead them down the path of their logic to where it ends up. Someone who's really good at doing this, who we often cover on the channel, is Andrew Wilson. He does this with the most high level and the most amateur debaters. He'll extract their worldview. He'll get a very, very clear understanding of it. He'll steelman their worldview back to them just so that they know that he totally understands it. And then he will walk them down the path as to why there is a contradiction, why their claims or worldview are absurd, etc., etc. But last point on this, one thing I will say is that Charlie Kirk actually is pretty susceptible to being drawn away by red herrings at times. Sometimes when I watch his debates, he will take the bait and he'll get drawn away into all sorts of meta conversations. And I do think that he would be better off having really firm boundaries and staying on topic more often. But anyways, let's get into the next girl who was... You'll see.
How are you? Nice to see you.
So I just have one question. There's, like, in any case, you don't think there's any case where abortion should be legal?
There's a very, very rare couple cases.
Okay, so you do think that a couple cases it is legal?
If cesarean section is not going to save the mother's life, and the mother's life is actually at risk, which is debated amongst growing numbers of OBGYNs, that is the only case where abortion should be allowed.
Think there should...
But people say that it is a growing consensus in the pro-life world that abortion is never medically necessary.
Okay. So if you had a daughter and she was 10 and she got raped, and she was going to give birth and she would and she was going to give birth and she was going to live, would you want her to go through that and carry her baby?
That's awfully graphic.
But it's a real life scenario that happens to many people.
The answer is yes, the baby would be delivered.
Oh, okay, great. So that's insane.
But let me tell you why. No, hold on. Let me ask you a question. There's two ultrasounds I have. One is a baby conceived in one is a baby conceived by a loving couple. Which one is which?
Your daughter was probably hopefully conceived by a somewhat loving couple.
Conceived by? Tell me which one was conceived by.
You don't know.
Exactly, because it's all human rights and it's all human beings.
But that doesn't matter. But it's about your daughter who has to give birth to it and is going to be tortured by that for the rest of her life. That's going to take away every freedom she's ever going to have. That's going to ruin her life. She's going to grow up and she's going to be attached to another thing.
The point is how you were conceived is irrelevant to what human rights you get. Hold on 1 second. If a person conceived in walks down the side of the street, it's not like they don't get First Amendment rights or Second Amendment rights.
It's not about that person.
The worst thing to do to the daughter is to then say, hey, we're going to go murder the being inside of you.
They wouldn't even know. Like, listen.
They wouldn't know?
Listen.
But wouldn't it be a better story to say something evil happened and we do something good in the face of evil instead of saying we're going to do evil and then murder the being because we're going to pander to the evil? No. What makes the West great is that we do good after evil, not evil after evil.
It's not about the being in the cells. It's not about... I'm speaking. I'm speaking. I'm speaking. I'm speaking. I'm speaking. I'm speaking.
Got it.
Thank you. So it's not... I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the person... I'm talking about the person who is dealing with the pregnancy. I am not talking about the cells. I don't care. No, listen. The fetus, the whatever. I don't care about that right now until it is formed. If there is a 5-year-old child who is pregnant and the baby is 2 weeks in utero,
can't get pregnant.
Actually they have given birth. There is one recorded case of a 5-year-old girl who gave birth.
Is that common?
Yes, it's common. 5-year-olds get sometimes, and if they get pregnant, I think they should be able to have medical access to something that could save not only just their life, but like their livelihood.
How many, I'm curious.
I hope your daughter lives a very happy life and gets away from you.
Okay, so that is really nasty. And so her belief system, just so we're clear, is that...
The time's up.
Yeah, no, I got it. It's fine. I mean, it's insanely nasty, and we'll talk again.
So I like this segment, and I think Jubilee are onto something here. It's entertaining, but if you're going to have a bunch of unhinged college kids who don't understand debate and who don't understand logic, then you need to have a moderator in this situation. Otherwise, you get this sort of train wreck situation where you have some emotionally unhinged young woman who's just going to scream over Charlie.
First Amendment rights or Second Amendment rights.
It's not about that person.
But then when Charlie does the same thing, it's, oh, I'm speaking.
No, I'm speaking. No, I'm speaking. No, I'm speaking.
But seriously, a despicable moment at the end there when she said what she said about Charlie's daughter. And he is a more patient man than me, so props to Charlie for rising above there.
I hope your daughter lives a very happy life and gets away from you.
And she should definitely be very ashamed of herself. So very weak arguments there. Now, on to the next part, where once again, Charlie takes on the TikTok debater, this time on the idea that college is a scam.
I have a question. Is church a scam?
No, because church is honoring the divine and the eternal and the good and the true and the beautiful. Is college?
But it deceives people because you give a promise of everlasting life, which you don't actually get because Christianity is contradictory, logically speaking.
Do you want to get into a theological debate, or are we going to talk about college? Because I completely disagree. Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior, and we will have eternal life.
Okay, so how, if there is a perfect being that created the world, how could we exist in an imperfect world?
I'm happy to have this discussion. Can we go back to college, though? Because do you think, because that's a little bit of a red herring and a little bit of a rabbit hole. Tell me what that has to do with college being a scam.
Well, I do think college can be a scam for certain people. I don't think it's a scam for everyone, though. For people like me, college was very beneficial for me.
For sure. Who is it a scam,
I'm asking you, based upon your definition of a scam, do you consider the Christian church a scam?
Of course not. It's giving people eternal life and teaches them goodness.
But if Christianity is false, then that's a deception.
Okay, but you think it's false. I don't. We can agree to disagree. Also,
I'm not agreeing to disagree on that.
But we're not talking about the church. We're talking about college, right? So again, also, people are not paying to go to church, are they?
But it's a reductio ad absurdum. You know what that is?
Ask the question.
What's a reductio ad absurdum?
That's a Latin term that means reducing down to the lowest common belief, correct?
Yeah, so I'm taking
Am I right? I didn't go to college. I knew that.
I'm taking your particular position.
Let me ask you a question without you interrupting me. Do you pay to go to church?
No, I don't. Some people do. They're forced to pay based upon their particular denomination.
And today, do you pay to go to church?
Depending on the church.
No, you don't. Do you have to go to debt to go to church?
In some circumstances, people do, because they have to give up 10% of their income to be able to do that, which people can't afford.
Which circumstance?
Well, they're LDS. You understand that a lot of LDS churches specifically require 10%?
Yeah, they don't require it. And what you're
talking
about
in plenty of places.
Well, you're asking mainline Christian.
Isn't there stigmatization if you don't do that?
Okay, you're good at interrupting, not good at answering.
Well, you haven't answered any of my questions yet.
I did say no. Church is not a scam. Church is the bride of Christ. College is a scam, and college is people are going into debt. They're paying a lot of money. But I want to ask you a question. You said it's a scam for some people. Who's it a scam for?
Yeah, for people who specifically aren't ever going to use it, never use any of the knowledge that they receive from it. Well, you say 52%. I don't think you can qualify 52% of people don't do that.
What number would you say?
For example, my job, that's not going to be recommended as an economics degree. Most economics majors are going to go into TikTok debating online. But I use the information that I learned in college in my job on a daily basis. So I still use relevant qualities that are then used in my job later on.
What percentage of kids that go to college are being scammed?
I don't think anyone knows that. Because it's dependent upon an individual. I have no clue.
Shouldn't we try to find out?
Well, if you'd like to find some empirics on that, I'd love to see it.
I just did. So 41%.
Wait, that's not a source?
Well, the Department of Education is a source.
No, the Department of Education doesn't say 41% of people it was a scam for, or that they didn't use any of the information they learned in college.
You are using.
So are you saying none of them used any of the information?
Can I say 3 words without you interrupting me?
Do any of them use the information later on?
Can I say 5 words without interrupting
me? Well, you've interrupted me multiple times.
So since you say college is a scam for some people, it's a ballpark. For the kids that do not graduate, 41% that ended up going and not graduating, were they scammed?
No, just because you go and pay for a particular thing, but then you don't follow through with it, doesn't mean you were scammed.
Maybe they were misled.
You decided to pay for it. Oh, you could say some people are misled. Some people are stigmatized into these things.
Do you think that
some people are misled in the church? And you never answered my question on that because you're trying to take that time down so that you don't have to answer the question about Christianity because you know your worldview looks terrible.
Well, what about Christianity do you want me to answer? We're talking
about I think it's false. Or because I was saying, is church a scam? If church is a scam, that'd be predicated off of the idea that you're deceived into believing that there's everlasting life,
but
specifically
you
from
believe
Christianity. So Christianity has to be true. So can you grant that? What's the argument?
Christianity is true. What's
the argument?
You're going to let me finish 3 words in a row?
Appreciate it.
Okay. Did the resurrection happen?
I don't think the resurrection occurred.
Okay. I disagree.
Okay. So let me ask you a question. A perfect creator, is it possible for them to not desire something imperfect?
Is a perfect creator, I'm sorry, what?
There's a perfect creator that desires everything that's just perfect. How can they desire something imperfect, flawed?
Well, because maybe they want to get to know themselves. Maybe they want to see their own creation. Maybe they love. They
want to get to know them. He's all-knowing.
Can I finish? Can I finish talking here? Okay. Maybe because God loved the world so much that His creation, which rebelled against Him, given agency and free will, rebelled against them, then got eternal life, what we actually deserve, and then sent His Son on a rescue mission to save us from that. The church is the bride of Christ, will save us from damnation that we deserve. College is far from the bride of America. It's currently scamming the youth of this country and sending them into oblivion.
Didn't answer the question.
I did.
No, you didn't say how they could desire something imperfect.
Well, God can do anything.
We'll talk about that later.
God can do anything, so.
Even something logically contradictory?
No, it's not logically contradictory.
So desire something imperfect.
Can an unstoppable object hit a immovable force?
So Charlie repeatedly destroyed him there. But if you looked at his smug smile, and if you looked at what the internet said about it, you might be deceived. So let's go through this. The topic is about college being a scam. He comes out with another red herring, which is about the church.
Because Christianity is contradictory, logically speaking.
Do you want to get into a theological debate, or are we going to talk about college?
And it's just a stupid point, because Charlie is a devout Christian who believes in the teachings of Christianity. So he's obviously not going to call the church a scam. And he's obviously not going to be convinced out of his faith in 30 seconds. So not a good faith argument, not a productive argument. He's just trying to do a TikTok own, which maybe deceives TikTok people, but not the fine watchers of Rattlesnake TV. No way. If you're going to try to call someone a hypocrite, or if you're going to try and find a contradiction in their worldview, then probably don't pick their most deeply held and fundamental view. Anyways, Charlie did well there to call out the red herring and bring it back to the college debate. Win. Charlie then calls him out multiple times on his interrupting. Then this kid tries to stump him again by asking Charlie for a definition of his favorite term, reductio ad absurdum.
The reductio ad absurdum. The reductio ad absurdum.
Which Charlie Kirk answered perfectly.
That's a Latin term that means reducing down to the lowest common belief.
Another win for Charlie. Charlie then calls this kid out multiple times on his incessant interrupting. Clearly, this kid has watched a lot of Destiny and is trying very hard to be like his hero. Another win for Charlie. And then Charlie destroys his worldview by saying that they disagree about Christianity. They disagree about the resurrection. In order for there to be a contradiction there, then Charlie would have to agree that Christianity is false. Obviously not going to happen. Another win for Charlie. And then, guess what? Another red herring. The theological question. They're obviously not going to be able to settle this today. So once again, bringing up theology is just a stupid thing to do here. But this kid has just been repeatedly destroyed, and now he's desperate to sound smart. So he really brings out his ace card. But to no avail. Across the board, total domination by Charlie there.
Mason, how are you? Nice to meet you. Okay.
So I think it's a little scummy that you're plagiarizing the whole Matt Walsh thing. Like your thing is the worship of Israel and everything like that.
I pay him royalties.
Okay, for sure. Well, do you want to talk about sex first, or do you want to talk about gender?
I don't think gender exists. I think it's a term that John Money and Judith Butler created over the last 40 years that basically is a filler for personalities.
Okay, well, if we're talking about sex, which it seems like you're saying is the exact same thing, would you say sex is binary by definition?
For sure, yes, absolutely.
Okay, so you're already incorrect. Like, sex is not binary, it's bimodal. So if we look at a distribution graph, we're going to see people in two camps majority of the time, but there are going to be externalities on both ends of the spectrum and in the middle.
For example, like
so we already talked about intersex. Right.
However, with intersex, though, they are mutations of a binary, correct?
No, we're talking about.
Hold on, but
we're talking about an entire spectrum.
Which sex
you're by definition
dominant,
defeating your expression of what a binary is by saying that there are externalities.
But let me ask you a question. That like XXY.
Charlie, for example, you're trying to create this own box and then use any examples that are outside of that box to justify that box again.
You brought up intersex.
We're talking about reality.
You brought up intersex.
Okay.
What sex organs? Which one is more dominant?
What do you mean?
In an XXY situation.
Can you explain your point of view?
Yeah, I mean, obviously you have more female characteristics and male characteristics in an XXY, or it might be YYX. One of the two. The point is that you do not have both.
We could see people with female reproductive organs that have XY, and we can see the vice versa, people with male reproductive organs that have XX.
So I think you said something about gender, though. I think that's more interesting to get into.
Okay.
Do you understand how the conversation...
So we're moving off of sex because you're ceding that argument.
No, I'm not ceding it.
Okay.
You want to keep going into it?
We can, if you'd like.
Okay, so besides male and female, what categories exist?
We have people that are intersex. We have people that are on the other ends of the bimodal distribution graph. Are you aware what bimodal means versus binary?
Somewhat of an understanding.
Yeah. Okay, well, so you can be presented with a graph after this by the people that you brought with you. But it's actually a bimodal distribution.
Just like constantly going to condescending type talk is not going to be fruitful.
I'm just trying to match your energy with the people that you treated that were trying to have a conversation.
Got it. So trans women are not women. Do you agree with that?
I would say that trans women are women because people that exist under the category of women, people that exist under the category of men are still humans.
Got it. So that category, how is that defined?
Well, I wouldn't limit it to things like genitals or things like chromosomes, which it seems like you want to do. What type of genitals would you say I have since you're so obsessed with genitals?
I'm not obsessed with genitals, but I could do a blood sampling right now and I could see exactly what you are because every single one of your trillions of cells are either coded with XX or XY, no matter how much surgery or whatever. I think that you are man, but you could fool me. You could take hormones, you could play camouflage. Like I could fool you to be Hispanic if I had the right Hollywood makeup director. That doesn't mean that you are the thing though.
But you're going from an objective biological perspective, which we've already talked about with sex. I'm talking about a social construct or a social utility.
Yeah, so
like if we were at a restaurant, right? I'm sitting down you're a man. And I'm sitting down at the table and you're telling the waiter, hey, I want to go sit with blank. What would you use?
With you?
He doesn't know my name. Yeah. Well, so I'm sitting over there.
That guy.
Yeah.
Yes, correct.
That guy. You're going to typically use he or him, or you're going to say that guy, like you just said.
Correct.
Because you're ascribing the male gender to me based on my performative characteristics.
I say I could be an error. Maybe you are a biological woman.
And then you'd correct yourself, right?
Maybe not.
So that's what that is exactly what we're trying to say.
So the question is that, do you think that womanhood can then be assumed just through costume design?
It's not costume design.
What is it then?
It's performative social characteristics.
Performative. So you could
act
that's
it. What gender is.
Okay,
great
got
job.
it. So you could it's like a theater troupe.
It's not a theater troupe. So these are social.
Womanhood
categories.
can be appropriated.
No, they're categories. That's what it is.
So there's nothing inherent about the chromosomes. There's nothing that...
Correct, yes.
Wow, we disagree. So there's nothing inherent about having a period or being able to give birth or the specific hormonal makeup.
In different cultures, we've ascribed that to womanhood. If you go back to other cultures spanning thousands of years,
for sure.
You'll see a difference when it comes to those
Like, for example, the Mayans had plenty of people that were schizophrenic, right? So that means nothing to me, right?
Okay,
so,
we have people that say they're hearing things from God. Would you say that's schizophrenic?
Well, not necessarily. It built Western civilization and common law and due process and individual rights.
I just wanted to hear that your
defense of the unborn and the greatest civilization ever. You know, that voice from God happened to build the greatest nation ever to exist in the history of the world. That's fine.
I think the Mayans would say the same thing. That's the problem with presuppositional arguments.
Yeah, let's go down.
Is that you could say anything.
Can we go visit?
I mean, God's telling me right now that you're a
nation?
fish. Do you think that's real?
Can we go visit the Mayan nation? They didn't last that long, did they?
Yeah, over killing and violence, and you can justify that if you like.
You mean all the child sacrifice?
And this is the condescending tone that why I'm trying to match it is because
you mean all the child sacrifice the Aztecs, Mayans, and Incans did on the top of temples? Great civilization.
Do you want to go back into the Old Testament? Let's bring Parker up in here and talk about all the child marriage, and we can talk about the justification of rape.
Where was child sacrifice ever in the Bible?
When Isaac was almost fucking sacrificed by his dad.
He wasn't though, because at the beginning of Genesis,
so God just said like, nah, just kidding, dog. Don't actually kill your son.
Because at the beginning of Genesis 16 said, I'm going to test
to prove obedience. Yes,
yeah, that's right. So now you know it. So actually, there was no child sacrifice in the Bible. It was a prohibition on child sacrifice in the Bible. But anyway, that's a little bit of a rabbit hole. Do you understand at least? Can you sympathize with our perspective?
Okay.
That
I'll calm it down a little bit. I apologize for the condescension.
No, it's fine. I mean, but you're doing it's fine. But do you see where this could get wildly out of control? At least on the extreme.
I don't see how it would get out of control because
even in sports, for example, you think that there's no.
So this is something that we might be able to agree upon, right? Sports were not archaeologically dug up, right? The rules of sports, they are things that we've created as a society. We have decided as a society the most fair categorization is male sports and female sports. Now, as we've been able to understand, or at least bring into the forefront, people who don't identify with the binary, we still have to allow all people that are women in the women's category and all men that are men in the women's category. That includes cis and trans. If you'd like to change that category because you think it's unfair, we can do that. That's what's awesome about arbitrary rules is we can decide hormones.
I might not know this, but like when the Greeks started the Olympics 2,000 years ago, did they have like a bunch of dudes wrestling with women?
I don't even think they allowed women to compete.
Well,
I might be wrong on that,
but that kind of proves the point, though, that there was a...
Yeah, and what did we do to allow women? We changed the rules.
Right, no, but that, by definition, therefore, there is something from body composition, bone mass, lung density, testosterone, and estrogen rates. Your endocrinology is different.
So if you'd say the majority of males in the bimodal distribution graph, we're going back to that, you can say, hey, we want this level of hormones in this particular category, and we can separate it by hormones. I agree with you that a majority of men or majority of cis men are...
You got to be like 99.9%.
I don't know. Ronda Rousey could kick my ass. I will say that.
No, for sure. But I mean, but could she kick Conor McGregor's ass?
Well, now we're talking about the peaks, right?
But she's at the peak of
cisgender.
No, because you're talking about the peaks of two different categories in the same sort of...
Right, because why? She's a cis woman.
Well, she's a cis woman and
he's... a cis man.
But yes, and he could kick her tail, right?
Yes, I would agree.
Oh, okay, for sure, right?
Because cis men and cis women have different hormone levels. If you want to change the hormones, we can change the categorization. But you're saying that you want men and women, bar none, and you say that's the most fair category. Then we have to allow all women and all men.
But again, those things don't. So I just want to be clear. So, because I think I'm tracking your argument, is that in the University of Pennsylvania swim team, when Thomas swam against biological women, you're perfectly fine with that.
I think as long as we have the categories that way.
Thanks.
Good to meet you. Yeah.
So this guy's actually smart, and he's a pretty good debater, but he shot himself in the foot there by being so condescending. Really didn't need to. But at least he wasn't full of fallacies like the others. And he didn't need to match the energy of Charlie. Charlie wasn't the one bringing up other people's families and insulting their looks.
I'm just trying to match your energy with the people that you treated that were trying to have a conversation.
Got it. He's not the one being constantly insulted and ganged up on by a whole room of people. In fact, he's the one who's been rising above all of the ad hominems the whole time. But because this kid is a little bit more honest in his argumentation, at least, it allows Charlie to take his points to their logical conclusion. Reduce them to absurdity, if you will.
It's a reductio ad absurdum.
Because the kid says that gender is just performative, which means, essentially, it means nothing.
You! Man on the beach! You know I'm a lady, don't you?
Ah, you're a flunk.
I'm a lady and my name is Emily Howard. Look. Emily Howard. Good day.
And then he makes the claim that over thousands of years, there have been many different cultures that have had many different strange views on sex. Another argument that is absurd and that is easily dismantled by saying those cultures also practiced virgin sacrifice and cannibalism. Just because they did it doesn't make it right. But the strongest moment of the debate for this guy, and probably for anyone in the entire room, was when he actually retreated from the condescension and apologized and tried to find middle ground. For the 2 minutes that he went with that, it was a much more productive debate, and he would have done well to have maintained that throughout. On to the last bit where the first girl is back again. Remember, guys, this is the one who destroyed Charlie. Let's see what she has to say.
So, you keep saying that Kamala Harris is a DEI candidate, and I feel like my main fallacy with this argument is that competency can't be objectively determined because we all have subjective definitions of what a competent politician is. But my question for you is, if Kamala Harris is a DEI candidate, why is she beating Trump in the polls right now?
We'll see what happens in November.
Okay, but she's currently beating Trump in the polls. So either
if the polls are right, I grant you that.
He's incompetent.
Or maybe she's a new candidate with a big surge.
She's doing good.
I would caution you being a little, like, this point in the election, getting too cocky, because we remember what happened with
I'm not
Hillary
getting
Clinton.
cocky. I'm asking you to answer a question. If she is incompetent, how could she beat the president, who you said is an amazing president?
As of the timing of this filming, can you name to me how many times she sat down for an interview?
What? No.
She refuses to talk to the press, refuses to take questions. She's done not one sit-down interview in nearly 25 days at the filming of this interview, mind you.
I think that is a very weird point to make.
Well,
why would I count how many times Kamala Harris has had an interview?
Because she refuses to take questions from the press and media? Like, shouldn't you do that if you're the sitting vice president?
She's...
He actually did 3 last Sunday and 1 today with Meet the Press.
So the qualification of a good president is to take an interview?
If you can't take a single question. But let me ask you this, because it's on you. What's her greatest accomplishment as vice president?
As vice president? Being the first female all-black president. We've never had that before.
Like, I got that, but like, what's her accomplishment that made people's lives better?
I don't know. Vice presidents don't really do much, to be honest.
Can you name one thing she's done that's good?
No, probably not. Thank you. The Inflation Reduction Act.
Oh, really? Did that lower inflation?
So this is the hero of left-wing Twitter and YouTube, guys. This is her poster girl. And what's obviously more hilarious is that debate is about whether or not Kamala Harris is a DEI hire.
So, you keep saying that Kamala Harris is a DEI candidate.
And when she's asked about what Kamala Harris's greatest achievement is...
being the first female all-black president. We've never had that before.
You really could not have scripted that one any better. So guys, hope you enjoyed that one, getting into the thick of the debates and the tactics and breaking it down. If you guys like these sorts of videos, if you'd like to see more of them, let me know in the comments. Also, don't forget to check out Tej Handley if you want to look beautiful, and my links will be down below. If you'd like to watch another video, right here. Next time, I'm Jake. This is RattlesnakeTV, keeping you armed and dangerous.